welcome to Desperate for a Name. I'm Mickey.
I'm Nati.
And today we are talking about an old, kind of an old franchise property, right? I would say so.
I don't know. It's like, what, 20 years ago?
It aired 2004. Today we're talking about Code Lyoko. For those of you who don't know, Code Lyoko was a 2004, 2003, I want to say, French animated TV show that actually aired in France and also in the US. It was actually huge on Cartoon Network when it first aired. I would say that's where we first watched it.
Where most people probably first watched it.
Yeah, that's where a lot of people watched it. And a lot of people didn't even realize it was actually a French animated TV show, which it was.
The more we look back at it, the more I'm realizing it was. Well, also, a lot of the time, the more I'm realizing
French.
It was French. Also, a lot of the times when they have a map of the country they live in,
It's France. They also like live in a So a couple of background stuffs about Code Lyoko. So for people who don't know, the basic premise of it was about like 4 teenagers. Yeah, teenagers.
They're like 12.
Teenagers.
They're 7th grade, like 7th to 8th grade. They're 13. Like they're
they're like 8th graders.
They're tweens.
They're like 8th or 9th graders.
No, 13. Barely
Teenagers. Teenagers.
Essentially children.
Teenagers. So they're about 4 teenagers end up finding this supercomputer that houses.
Well, Jeremy finds the supercomputer.
We'll get to that in a second. So 4 teenagers find this supercomputer that essentially houses a world called Lyoko, which is like think of it like a digital video game world.
It's like the Matrix.
It's like the Matrix,
but more entertaining.
And they find a girl named.
That's right. I'm coming for you.
And they meet a digital girl named Aelita, and then also a computer virus named Xana, who essentially wants to do the usual, take over the world, all that kind of crap.
Blah blah blah.
So over time, a couple of the teenagers can then virtualize into the world of Lyoko, fight off Xana, and then rinse, repeat. That's basically what we're talking about. What we're basically going to be doing is, so Code Lyoko
the show has 4 seasons, and we're going to be spending,
I was just going to say that.
Oh, okay.
I was literally just like, you just cut me off right as I was explaining it.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So Code Lyoko in itself ended up running for 4 seasons. Actually ended up having a sequel show too. We'll see how well this does, but we're probably not going to talk about it because I don't want to talk about it.
Do you want to talk about it? You don't want to talk about Code Lyoko Evolution?
I do not want to talk about Code Lyoko Evolution. So it had 4 seasons.
Don't you know all cartoons are better when they're made into live action adaptations?
It's not an adaptation, it's a sequel.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, it's straight up sequel.
Oh, okay.
So
even better.
As we just mentioned, so Code Lyoko in itself had 4 seasons, eventually wrapped up at like 95 episodes, I think. And since we decided to talk about the whole series, we're like, it's a lot to go into. So we're like, we're not going to do 1 episode. We're going to split up each. So we're going to do 1 episode for each season. So this week we're doing season 1, and then the following we'll do 2, 3, 4.
Don't you mean season whatever French is for 1? Is it un?
It's un. It's un du trois. That's 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
I don't give a shit about the French.
Okay. I mean,
sorry if I'm offending any of our French fans.
Which we probably actually do have. You never know.
That's fair.
Don't be a dick to the French, man.
I will not.
Hey, they gave us Code Lyoko.
And Martin Morning.
Yes. Which never showed up in the US. Canada got it, I think.
I'm sorry to all of our French fans.
Yeah. And apologies to all the American people who have no idea what shows we're talking about because they never popped up in America. But so Code Lyoko aired.
Fine, the localization would have fucked it up anyway.
The big thing about it, no, there was an English dub. I told you, Canada.
I'm just making a localization joke.
You are, but without facts, and that's hurtful to the localization. Sometimes they're done well.
I will wrap the One Piece opening right here and now to prove you wrong.
Please don't. Anyway, so the main reason we're also talking about this is because actually we just want to talk about it because recently, actually, and by recently I mean like a year ago, Code Lyoko actually finally came out on Netflix of all places. Now this was a huge thing because for a long time this show was hard to find if you wanted to watch. I mean, you could find most of the episodes for free also on YouTube, but like I remember trying to watch it when I was rewatching it a couple years back. I maybe could find it on iTunes. You can't anymore. And they just took it down from everywhere. So it was just a pain in the ass to watch. So we're like, now that it's on like Netflix and stuff, let's just go through the whole thing and rewatch it. And that's why we wanted to make this episode because we were just like, it's on Netflix now, so let's rewatch it. Anyway, so without further ado, I guess we can start talking about it because
it's not a trap set by Xana.
No, it's not.
You don't know that.
Although the big thing, look, this was a huge thing because this was part of.
I know you're not an agent of Xana.
You don't. This was part of that huge thing in the Cartoon Network like Renaissance era where they were taking.
Is that what people call it?
There's the Cartoon Network. Well, no, that's the 2010s. Is the Cartoon Network Renaissance. They had a lot of like a great block of like original programming. This was like right before that, where
oh, you don't want to talk about Destroy, Build, Destroy.
That's no. We call that the live action years. Do you not?
I know.
Have you not heard these terms before? I'm pretty sure you have.
I know. I'm just saying it was funny when the network literally called the Cartoon Network started implementing a bunch of like live action series to it.
And maybe we'll talk about those one day.
Like such gems like Tower Prep and Unnatural History.
I actually really like Tower Prep.
Well, we're not talking about Tower Prep.
I know.
Although the characters do live at a boarding school in Code Lyoko.
Yeah, but if we
tying it back.
If people ever want us to, we can always talk about the live action Cartoon Network shows, which I would not mind because a couple of them weren't terrible.
It's an oxymoron in itself.
Also, plus, you know who worked on Tower Prep?
I know who worked on Tower Prep.
Okay. Who worked on Tower Prep?
It's Paul Dini. I get it. I know.
Yeah. So
we're not talking about Tower Prep right now, Mickey. Stay on target. We're talking about Code Lyoko.
Okay. But anyway, so Code Lyoko came out in this time in the early 2000s, which a lot of people recognize as when a lot of American animated programming was really taking a lot of influence from anime. Like shows like Totally Spies, Teen Titans, Code Lyoko, a bunch of other shows that I can't name right
French
now.
shows, I guess, too.
A lot of France, because anime was becoming huge in America and France.
And Europe, yeah.
Yeah, it became an international phenomenon. And with things like a lot more dubs becoming stuff. Like, look, we all know about the big anime booms of like the mid-2000s. I mean, I'm hoping we all know of this. If we don't...
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was getting localized.
Yes, Nati. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was getting localized.
It was.
I know why that
was on Cartoon Network.
No, why are you speaking of that specifically?
Because I remember GX being on Cartoon Network at the same time as Code Lyoko.
No, they were reruns. Either that or that. It's or sometimes new episodes, because at that point 4Kids was still messing around with all the blocks, so they had the airing rights to Yu-Gi-Oh! But and GX. They used to air it on Maguzi all the time.
Okay.
That was an old Cartoon Network used to actually have a lot of programming blocks, and Maguzi was one. That's where Code Lyoko actually used to. Code Lyoko actually used to air new episodes like almost every day for like a small period of time. But anyway, let's actually start talking about the show.
Okay.
So, right?
You mean the plot of the show?
Yeah, we're talking about the plot of the show. Well, no, just talk about the show, because we've kind of gone on for a bit and we haven't really mentioned anything about it. Whose fault is that, Nati? Why the hell haven't you talked about it? What's wrong with you?
It's Xana's fault.
What's wrong with you? You haven't spoken.
Has prevented me from speaking about it out of fear that we will bring about its destruction.
No, that's too bad. So we have we mentioned before the creation of the actually the Lyoko Warriors, as they are actually called.
Not in the show so far.
They eventually get called this, I think.
Well, we're talking about season 1.
We are talking about season 1.
I don't remember them getting called the Lyoko Warriors in season. I mean, that sounds like something Odd would come up with.
Well, okay, so the one thing people need to know.
Odd, the Sokka of the group.
So season 1 is very much
it's episodic. It's very episodic.
Well, it's very much establishing the status quo of the series, and so there are a lot more fillers, and it's very episodic because it's a whole monster of the week, kind of like what does Xana do this time, and how do the
first episode on Netflix, and I think the first episode that aired chronologically was the one with the giant teddy bear.
Yeah, it's the first episode. Well, what are you thinking? Are you thinking about the pilot one?
That was
that is okay. So there is a pilot episode, or like an episode that devolves around the origin of them finding this factor. So the thing is, it starts in with you already kind of supposed to like.
It's kind of like Teen Titans, where it starts off with the status quo already established, and later on
we'll get an origin episode, and they do the same thing here. A couple years ago, and I used to watch it. We used to think that episode aired first, but it didn't. It was actually
confusing.
It was just they actually aired it as a part of like a 1 hour, which we'll talk about it more because I think it's part of
the concept of a prequel is very confusing to a child.
No, it isn't.
It was to me.
But there was this concept of this will come up more, I think, later in season 3, so we'll talk about it more then when we're there. So for now, the basic idea is the status quo is that you have the 4 characters: Jeremy
Belpois.
Are you done?
That's how his name is pronounced.
How do you know? You've only heard it in English.
Well, I know his name is Belpois.
Yeah, and do you know how to say it in French? I thought you hate the French though, so how would you know how the French say it?
I like the language.
You didn't know French?
Bonjour, je m'appelle Nati.
Is that all the French you know? I know a little.
So talking about Code Lyoko.
Yeah, I actually used to know a bit of French, but that's neither here nor there. So you have the 4. So you have Jeremy, Yumi, Odd, and Ulrich, who are basically 4 kids going to this like boarding school in
somewhere in France.
It's actually a real place. They base it off a real school
in city France.
So the school and the factory are actually based off 2 real places in
oh
France.
My God, it's all real.
I think they're both. Well, yeah, they because the guy who worked on it, the guy who started it, I forgot his name. Essentially, based a lot of it from his experiences. It took a lot of it inspiration from like his own school life.
Oh my God, Zen is real.
Xana's not real. Well, maybe.
And
So anyway, the way
the show is their way of warning us and getting us to fight against him.
So the basic premise of like an episode, your average episode, is like the gang is doing something.
The squad.
The squad.
The Lyoko
Yes, we're gonna call it the squad now.
The Lyoko squad.
The Lyoko squad. The Lyoko lunatics with matching leather jackets.
You would love that.
I would love that. They all get bowling shirts.
And with a logo on them.
Yeah. So anyway, so Xana basically so your basic plot of the week is like Xana finds some way to attack the real world. The gang finds out. They have to get to Lyoko. They have to deactivate the tower, and then they go back in time. Yeah. So that's what
usually factoring in some random slice of life plot point that was introduced at the beginning of the episode.
That's kind of how the show operates. Yeah, there's a problem they have like their life problem. Then they have Xana who affects that problem, and then they go back in time and get to do it again, but this time without Zana. I was gonna say Zana. Zana, warrior princess.
You mean Xena?
I know that was the joke. Never mind.
Xana, Xena, and Zana are all siblings.
Yep. Well, who's Zana?
Someone we just made up.
Call
the patent office.
Yes, we're calling dibs on Zana.
Trademarked.
And yeah, it's gonna be like Zardos all over again. Just take a name, slightly change it. Boom! You got $1 million movie. Okay,
how do you think people avoid copyright lawsuits?
That's true. This is true.
You're good. How do you think Disney made The Lion King? Kimba?
Money.
Simba?
No, they had money.
That is true.
Yeah, they didn't have to worry about copyright crap. As long as they didn't have to, like, they could fight that shit.
Here we are going.
Are you done with the
It's a good song. You will not prevent me
I'm not denying
from
this.
admiring this amazing opening theme.
I love the opening. It's one of the only good things Noam Canelo has ever actually sung.
Jesus Christ.
As done look. Oh, I'm sorry. Is mine too angry? Am I being too upsetting with this?
No.
Am I being vicious? Am I? No. Okay. So what? God, I say one sentence, you go freaking nuts. You go on a goddamn rant. It's justified. I call that bull crap.
Say your piece.
Oh, please. Oh, okay. No, so let's hear it now. Because, which I'm going to cut you off, by the way. I'm waiting just to hear your 10-minute rant about Yumi and Ulrich.
Well, if you really want to hear it.
I do not. I actually like Ulrich. I think he's a cool character. You just hate him.
I think he's an edgy little shit.
You hate any character with a little bit of edge you hate.
Yes.
Why?
Edge is annoying.
How?
Because it's just he's too up his own ass.
Okay, this sounds a lot like you, but what else?
Maybe I hate myself, Mickey.
Yep. See, you fill out the edgelord angst boy look already.
Maybe I don't like seeing myself represented in media because I don't like how I act.
Oh, okay. But the edge,
it's getting a little too deep.
I don't hate Ulrich that much. I think he's a pretty cool character, personally. I mean, he's a good fighter. Oh, each of them have their own things they bring to the table. Ulrich can be like a good fighter. Odd is the Michelangelo of the group. Yumi is the girl and Japanese, so the Asian girl. She fits 2 tropes already.
And her outfit in Lyoko makes it very apparent that she's Japanese.
So now the whole overarching goal of season 1, things like that, is essentially, and by the way, we're gonna get into like mild spoilers, but not really. And I mean, look, here's the thing: we're gonna be
mild
doing an in-depth. We're gonna be
show that aired 20 years ago.
No. That's less than 20 years ago, like 15 years ago.
That's still
but also,
a lot.
That's also been only recently been on Netflix.
So,
but the other thing is, you never know. You know, people always say like spoilers to shows that like super old shows. I'm like, yeah, but shit that isn't in the mainstream that people don't know about will probably not know about it.
Okay, I guess we could have started like we're gonna talk about spoilers of the season that we're covering for this episode.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. It's like you guys are gonna be like if you're gonna keep watching, it's like we're clearly gonna go in depth about a lot of this shit. So there are gonna be obvious spoilers. It's not obvious. So go. I mean, I do think you should. It's a show you should check out yourself if you want to. So if we want, we will wait. You can go right now. We'll pause this. However you're watching it. We'll wait. We'll just wait.
We'll take a minute for you.
We'll take a minute. I mean, yeah, that's the power of technology, baby. Okay, so if you're back now, or for the people who stuck around, well, we'll do the rest of this for you guys. Essentially, the overarching plot of season 1 is essentially
trying to materialize
is trying to materialize Aelita. So the thing is, Aelita is basically, as far as we know, a program inside of Lyoko that is basically stuck there. And so because if the logic is like if the guys can if all the people can be virtualized into Lyoko, then essentially
you can devirtualize them
you can
or materialize.
you can materialize the people from Lyoko into the real world. This actually gets there's a cool concept that gets brought in at one point where they actually do kind of figure it out, and Xana ends up using it to basically bring some of his own monsters from Lyoko into the
It's really weird
into reality, and it's like
seeing those things in 2D.
but it's kind of cool though.
Because Lyoko's in 3D.
Yeah, that's supposed to be one of the huge things about this series. Is
Half
that
of it is in CG.
depending is the fact that so like all of the stuff in the real world is always traditionally 2D animated, it's like that, but they ended up using the CGI animation and like 3D animation to do all the Lyoko scenes, which I think is pretty cool and smart.
It's weird. It's weird when they refer to the real world as like the 2D world as the real world, because like technically Lyoko has more dimensions akin to our real world.
Has more depth.
Has more literal depth.
I mean, in truth be told, and Lyoko actually has a lot of cool. I mean, why don't we just like what do you think about Lyoko in itself?
Lyoko is
like
kind
the
of
world
like,
of Lyoko.
It's kind of boring.
At first, yeah, but look, we have to remember that this was a show made in like on a not low budget, but like this is like it was like a show that was made in 2004 and in production that had to do with like animated CG scenes.
I always kind of thought of Lyoko as a bunch of Pokemon routes stuffed together.
Really, I just thought it was a bunch of like a game in beta.
Yeah, it's basically
which is fine because that's the feel I'm kind of getting from it.
There are 4 sectors. There's ice, there's forest, there's desert, and then there's mountain.
Yeah, mountain.
Yeah, and it's just a bunch of like random regions with a bunch of Xana's monsters crawling around. It's not much there.
Fair.
It's not a very interesting place.
No, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, I would say like Lyoko has like the 4 maps or like the areas. It's not a bad thing.
Sectors.
Like sectors.
Excuse you, they're called sectors.
Yes, I'm sorry. They're sectors. They're
Learn your lore. Learn your Lyoko lore.
But I actually kind of like that about this show is the fact that there's like actually a lot of like lore in Lyoko.
Lyoko,
yes, Lyoko.
I'm not even trying anymore.
No, you're not. But there's there's like a lot of, how do I put this? Like, I wouldn't say lore, but like
there's a story.
There's a story, and they're clearly the writers put thought into this world.
There are pieces to uncover.
Yeah. Plus,
pieces of the puzzle you need to put together.
The whole idea, the fact that like all the characters get like their own avatars when they show up,
and their avatars are like reflective of their personalities.
Yeah, in a sense. Well, we're not sure of it, but like
I mean, Odd is a furry.
I mean, yeah, he's a cat.
He's a cat.
Even though the dude owns a dog, but
yeah, but like he has a little logo of his dog taking a piss on his chest.
Of Kiwi. I don't think he's taking a piss, but
I swear he's taking a piss.
I don't think he is. I doubt it. I have a hard time believing that.
Odd is adorable and he's a furry and he shoots.
Odd is great.
He says he shoots laser arrows, but they're not laser
arrows.
Yeah,
he always just says laser arrow
like
when he shoots them.
That he shoots out of his fists.
But it's pretty fun.
Laser arrow.
Laser arrow.
He is Japanese, and therefore her entire outfit is
Japanese.
Yeah, she has makeup on, and she throws fans, and we get it.
But now, as of this time, we haven't fully finished the whole.
That seems a little stereotypical based on the fact that I don't know.
Yeah, but as of this time, so we haven't actually fully finished the whole series, but I'm pretty sure they do get like a redesign later on down the line.
All right.
Like I think in like 3 or 4. Season 3 or 4, they do like, because like we have watched this show before. I've watched the show in its entirety when we were younger. It's just been like 10 years.
It's been like a decade.
A decade or so since I've like fully watched the show.
And we have to return to the past now.
Yes, we have to return to the past.
Press enter key.
Pressing the enter key.
Imagine there's just like one of those paper clips. It's like, I see you're trying to return to the past. You want some help?
Paperclip guy, tell me how to return.
Paperclip guy.
How to time travel.
I see you're trying to defeat Xana. Would you like some help?
I feel like you're trying to defeat a mass evil virus. Would you like some help with that?
It's Xana. Xana was the paperclip.
Xana was the paperclip guy.
I knew it.
Yeah, he was the. Although I gotta give Jeremy credit. The dude's a freaking genius.
Who?
Jeremy.
Jeremy?
Yes, Jeremy.
Oh, like it's not fun saying his name like that.
No, I can't really care. But the dude's a freaking genius.
Yes, he's a super genius. That's how he's able to fucking work a supercomputer at the age of 12.
He is. The dude's good.
He also has a massive crush on Aelita, which is why he wants to bring his computer waifu into the real world.
And that's true. I mean, what? No. What?
Remember?
I mean, they do have like the most stable relationship in this whole show.
No, they absolutely do. They're fucking adorable. They're made for each other. But remember that episode where Jeremy is kind of like stuck in limbo between Earth and Lyoko, and like whenever Jeremy and Alita have a moment,
Which is, by the way, one of the first time they actually like tease Jeremy. So that's the thing. So far as I know, Jeremy never actually virtualizes in Lyoko, which sucks because you never get to see like a 3D avatar for him.
I always feel like he would have like a MODOK or a Gizmo design.
I kind of want one. Like that's what I wish he would always like.
Doc Ock arms and move around.
I always wished he would show up, and he never does, and it's really disappointing.
Sad.
It's just sad.
Even in the transitions, which in season 1 happen every 5 seconds.
Yeah, wow.
Everyone else has their Lyoko avatars, and Jeremy is just
Jeremy is Jeremy.
smiling at the computer.
Yeah. Just an IT guy.
Then again, it's literally he is the one that makes all of this happen, and none of them had to know how to use the fucking.
Oh, he's the brains of the operation.
Literally, him and Alita are
like you normally have like the guy in the chair is like the guy behind the main
powerful guy in the chair.
No, this guy is like not just the guy in the chair. He's the dude who's he's the dude who gets shit done.
He's not the guy in the chair. He's that guy in the chair.
Yeah.
He's that guy in the chair. He gets everything done.
He does everything.
He tells them how many life points they have, which I'm like,
yeah, I do love. Was it just me or did when they have? No, not that. I never thought that once.
Life points?
No, not really. No. You ever like? No. I always think more of it when I see like they have like the stat cards that shows there. Does that just remind you of Pokemon?
A little bit.
I just think of Pokemon cards and like the fact they fight monsters, and I'm like, okay, I
get Pokemon.
I get a vibe of that, yeah. The action isn't look. The animation itself isn't bad for the early 2000s.
They use a lot of like stock animation. That's because they didn't have a lot of. They didn't have a huge budget in season 1.
They do reuse stuff. Look, they reuse a lot of animation, but it's understandable for like a show that was in its first season, that had a first production season. They didn't like.
It's not too bad.
Like yeah, it's not bad, and they reuse crap. But I also think like, and sure, like the 3D animation can be pretty stilted, but for 2004 was pretty well made.
Yeah. For the circumstances,
it's not a reboot.
For their circumstances,
they're Beast Wars.
For the circumstances, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Also, because around that time, also I think a lot of 3D animated shows started becoming more of a because
they were easier to animate.
They became easier to make. Yeah. So people could like it doesn't mean they could be good. Yeah. I feel like people realize that like yes, 3D animation is easier. It doesn't necessarily mean that you can make it lazier because it'll be obvious.
When has anyone in the entertainment industry in a position of power given a fuck about quality over convenience?
Some people actually have, yeah.
But the general margins.
I mean, dude, if they didn't give a shit about a certain amount of quality, we wouldn't be getting quality.
Right. I'm just saying, like,
we wouldn't know what quality is.
People from a production standpoint are usually over convenience over quality, and people who actually work on the show want to give a shit because it's their show.
Depending, yeah.
Like, I don't think like the production company was like, I don't give a fuck.
Who knows? Well, this one probably did because
Anti-films.
Well, no, not that. So eventually, after season 2, like they were part of a Moonscope production,
yes, but in season 1,
which was created by the creators of the show.
Right, but Anti-Films was season 1.
Yes. So that's why there's probably going to be a change in quality once you get to season 2.
It's better. It gets better over time.
Yeah. I mean, as you can tell, we really don't have much to say about season 1. I feel like we don't need to.
At the end of season 1.
So the main thing is, yeah, we could talk about.
Oh, we didn't mention Jim. We didn't mention the best character on this whole show, the gym teacher.
I mean, look, the show
who's named Jim.
The show does have a bunch of side characters. Yeah. So you have like Jim, you have like the 2 reporter girls who I forget their names because they barely show.
One of them is named Tamika. I forget their name.
I think one of them is Tamika. Yeah. You got Missy and her gang, or like
say Missy.
Sissy, sorry, not Missy. I don't know why I was thinking.
I mean, I call her Pissy because that's what she is.
You've never called her that once.
I've called her that several times. I just haven't done it in a while.
No, you probably did that in your head.
No,
I called her that in my mind.
No, out loud. When we started watching, I'm like, I'm going to call her Pissy.
I don't know. Everything you say sounds pissy, so you kind of just like, it gets jumbled up eventually. But, so you get Sissy and her gang, which are supposed to be like the not the villains, but like the human world antagonists of the show.
She's a
bitch.
Daughter.
The girl's a bitch.
She's like 12. She's annoying.
She's a bitch. No, you can tell she's going to be a bitch.
She's a brat.
Bitch.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I'm sorry. My thing is too violent. When you give crap to Ulrich about him being like, and you literally you want him to get over himself 2 seconds. No, I call Sissy a bitch. Justifiable. No. Sissy's a bitch. Ulrich's pretty cool.
She's a bully.
She's a bitch.
She's a bully.
She's a bitch.
She's the principal's daughter. She's
a bitch.
All right.
I'm not gonna stop.
She's a crush on Ulrich. They deserve each other.
No, they don't. Ulrich is a pretty cool dude.
Later on, he's a cool
dude. Oh, I'm sorry. What's wrong with Ulrich? What bad thing has he done?
He's
what did he do to you?
What, me personally?
Did he reject you? Did you confess your love to him because he's so amazing and he just rejected you?
His personality is just kind of blech.
What blech? You never gave it a shot. Hey, tell me anything about his personality.
He's stern.
Why?
That's his last name.
That is his last name. But what does he do?
I mean, what
What does Odd do?
Odd has fun and jokes around.
Okay.
If Odd is Mikey, then Ulrich is probably
Ulrich does this, also has fun and jokes around.
Yeah, he does sometimes.
So he does do this. So you're...
But only, like, really...
It kind of just sounds like you're biased.
Ulrich is Raph, and Odd is Mikey.
Ulrich is not Raph.
Are you saying that's an insult to Raph?
No, I'm just saying because, like, they're different characters. Ulrich has more of a, like... Is a calm person. The dude is more like... I would think of him more like...
He's not calm.
No, he can't. He doesn't have a temper. None of them have tempers.
There's a difference between being calm and having a stick
No, but he can be pretty... Look, yeah, but he's also a kid with hormones, and it's understandable. He's going through a lot of crap, and it's not easy all the time. Like, there's that one episode I do actually like where he is not jealous of Yumi, but, like, he starts talking to, like, this other girl and stuff. It is funny when Yumi gets jealous, though. But also because, like, he kind of goes on about the whole, like, the stressfulness of, like, dealing with Xana all the time and didn't look because, like, yeah, that shit's not easy. You guys are, like, a bunch of middle schoolers, and you're dealing with, like, life and all that crap while also
you're
saving the world.
almost dying on a weekly basis.
Like, you're saving...
It's always, like, seconds away before they die because there has to be
and they
tension.
remember, like, the thing. So there's this thing about, like, the whole return to the past, which we talked about before, which the way it seems to work, where it's, like, a quick... Oh, and apparently they cannot revive... It does not revive the dead. Because we used to...
I thought it did.
So did I. Like, I thought, like, oh...
explicitly state that there are consequences if someone dies.
So, like, if someone dies, you can't, like, bring them back if you go back in time.
Which is news to me.
So the way it normally works is that they go back in time where, like...
Back in...
So they go back in time to basically where...
A day before. Like, before Xana showed
No, not a day before, but, like, just right before Xana showed up. It's like a reset. It's like you get to go right before...
It's a very convenient reset.
But they retain all their memories.
They loaded up the last save file.
It's like that. But they retain all the memories of what happened,
including of all the trauma where they almost die.
So they remember all that shit. It piles up, and they can
it's very fucked up.
Yeah, which is why I kind of like that episode when they do that. But so I get it.
Well, we forgot to mention the end of the season where they actually finally materialize.
We did not forget to mention it. I was mentioning it, then you wanted to talk about Jim.
Well, because he's a part of it. Because he finds out about everything. He becomes part of the gang for 2 episodes.
For like that's actually pretty cool, yeah. So yeah, the whole season culminates in the fact that they finally figure out a way to materialize.
Jeremy figures out a way to do it.
Yeah, they figure out how to materialize Aelita. But the main thing about it is also the fact that, at that same time, like the main question is like, you know, Xana's such a big trouble. Why don't they shut down the computer? That was the whole idea of materializing Aelita, because if you can shut down Lyoko, you and get rid of Xana, and Aelita's in the real world, we're all good.
But then, when they materialize Aelita, it turns out that Xana infected her with a virus, so that if you shut him down, she dies too. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, that.
So basically, they have to now figure out how to.
But now Aelita gets to be in the real world and gets to have a body and all that. And I love how they materialized her from like Lyoko and stuff. She just comes with clothes.
Thank God.
I mean, like, yeah, it's just funny. I'm like, she just is like, they're just clothes, like, because that's not the outfit she wears in Lyoko.
I know. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I mean, maybe it implies something in the future. Who knows? But yeah, essentially that was.
Who knows? Well, it seems like we will.
We'll find out. Yes. Essentially,
also, Jim does join the gang for like 2 episodes, but then
he forgets because they go back in time.
Which is sad.
Because that was the plan, was to get rid of Lyoko, so they didn't think they'd have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's essentially about like we may have like skipped over a bunch of stuff and things like that. There's a lot of filler episodes. Maybe we do more in depth if people ask. But essentially, that's the first season of Lyoko, right?
Pretty much.
Now I do think there's probably gonna be more plot stuff coming up soon. So you know, come back for that. Watch some of it yourself. It's not a bad show. It's very much entertaining.
Code Lyoko.
You want to sing us off? Hi, thanks for watching to the end of the video. Like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell. It really helps the show out. If you want to go see more of us, we have a podcast with way more episodes, so go check that out.